Hello, welcome back to Sex Lives Unfiltered. I'm your host, Lauren Muratori. I'm a clinical accredited psychosexual therapist, clinical sexologist, intimacy coach. You name it, that is what I do. Before I get into the episode today, I just want to let people know that I'm going to be launching my Rekindling Intimacy couples package very soon. It's going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be a 4-month intensive package. I'm actually taking discovery calls at the moment. I have quite a few of them. So if you'd like to book in, please jump onto my website, integratedsextherapy.com.au. And if you click book now, you can book a discovery call. It is a 10-minute call. And what we'll do is I'll explain the whole package to you, the cost, what you'll get out of it, the transformation that you're going to get, and provide some more information. So look, these are discovery calls are free of charge, obviously. And I want to see if we're actually a right fit because I won't be working with everybody. So please do that if you are keen. Now, today's episode, why do humans have sex? Cool. Now, I think this is a really interesting topic because when I work with couples or even with individuals, we talk about the why. Like, why are we doing anything, right? Why are we doing things? It's a relevant question. It's not what does sex mean or the functionality of sex in our relationships, but why are we actually having sex? You might be thinking, like, that's a pretty dumb question. Duh, we have sex because it's amazing. Like, I get it. Sex is amazing and it feels good, but why? And sometimes maybe the reasons or different partners will elicit different reasons why we have sex. And maybe different sections of our lifespan will actually indicate reasons why we have sex. So I think this is a relevant conversation because I talk about it a lot in clinic, and it's not something that actually a lot of people do talk about. I really enjoy this study. It's from 2007. It's an oldie but a goodie, and if you've worked with me, I might have sent that to you. So the Why Humans Have Sex study from 2007 is by Cindy Meston and David Buse. I'm not quite sure. Now, it's a really interesting study because what it did was study populations of individuals, but it broke down why people have sex. And then it culminated all of these hundreds of reasons of why people are reporting it. And they found a lot of similarities, even with the genders, but we'll get to that. So what they identified after culminating lots of individuals and trying to understand why do they have sex, they identified 237 reasons for having sex. Like, that is a lot. That is a lot of reasons why we have sex. I mean, if you spend 10 minutes, I'm sure you're not going to come up with 237 reasons. So these reasons have actually been categorized into like 4 broad factors. And so they are physical, emotional, which makes sense, goal attainment, and insecurity. So what they found was the 4 main factors, and that is like physical reasons, right? That's kind of stating the bleeding obvious. I understand that. Then there's also goal attainment, which might be something that you don't often think about. Emotional needs, again, which is kind of a no-brainer, and insecurity. These 4 categories were then actually broken again into subfactors. And here's where it gets interesting. All right, so here are the subfactors for physical reasons. So we might look at stress reduction, right? I'm super stressed and sex is a release. Now also pleasure. Pleasure, we in the sexology community, we talk about a lot about being pleasure focused. So that's super important. Physical desirability. Now, here's a subfactor that I think is pretty worthwhile speaking about because we think that we have to be attractive, we want to be desirable. And so that physical desirability can also be a physical reason why we're having sex with that person's really hot. I want to have sex with them. That makes sense. And also experience seeking. Maybe it's a bit novel. Maybe I've never had sex with a redhead before. Maybe I've never had the opportunity to have 2 people at once, and here's my opportunity. So those physical reasons and those experiences are part of that. Now, the second major category, which was goal attainment, the 4 subcategories under that were utilitarian, revenge, social status, and resources, which, might be a little bit of a surprise for people. We'll kind of get into a little bit of what that actually means. Emotional, that's quite clear. It's the love, the commitment, the connection, and I'm expressing my love to you. That is why I want to have sex, because what I often hear in clinic is that sex is something that 2 people who are together do, and it's the ultimate expression of love. So a lot of people who I have worked with do score quite high in that. The study actually also kind of did break this up and looked at genders, and predominantly women did score high in the emotional category, and men actually in the physical reasons. Again, not really a big surprise. Now, insecurity. So sometimes we might, and the subcategories were I need a self esteem boost. Like I need to boost my self esteem, and I'm having sex with that super hot person. Therefore, maybe I'm good enough. Maybe I'm attractive. Maybe I'm validating myself because I don't feel like I'm good enough or attractive. And here I got a person who wants me. So it boosts my ego or even just how I feel about myself. Insecurity can also mean a duty or pressure. I feel like I'm obligated to have sex with you. It is my purpose. So we kind of are looking at that from an insecure position, and then also mate guarding. Now, I find this like really interesting. And then the thing is in this study, and if you go to the back of the study, you can actually score yourself and figure out where you rate in this in these categories, and actually like really hone in on and figure out what your subfactor is, which I also find fascinating. But there are what the study found, and they culminated 237 reasons into 142 that were really like clear. And so out of these 142 from memories, like that person has a hot face, or it's our anniversary, or I'm afraid my partner is going to have an affair, or I want to keep my partner from straying. So you can kind of like understand why you're having sex. So let's think about, why are you having sex? Do you have sex because it feels good, because you feel like you have to, because your partner wants it? This is going to change the type of sex that you're having. And it also is going to probably change your motivation to have sex, your desire, how you relate to sex, and how you feel about your own sexual self, and even your identity. So, what I often find in clinic is that when you've got a couple, or even in an individual, and they're talking about their partner, the reasons why they have sex might be vastly different. So we'll look at what the study found was predominantly men wanted that physical and women wanted the emotional. So you've got two people who are together, hetero, cis couple, and one person wants sex for physical reasons. I want to release. I want to feel pleasure. I want to, because you're my partner and you're hot. And the other person's like, well, I want to feel emotion. I want to feel connection. And I'm going to do this thing with you because, and you're going to do this thing with me because it's how we ultimately share love. And so the two can be vastly different. And why I'm wanting to bring this to people's attention is the reasons why we're having sex. When there is a difference, it can create discrepancies within our sexual relationship, right? Like if I'm somebody who wants to feel good and I use sex as creativity and a release, and I was somebody who only wants to have sex with me when they're feeling connected, then is the moment that there's a disconnect, the moment that maybe I'm not nourishing or working on love language with that person, they might not want to have sex because I'm not helping them with the reasons why they want to have sex. So it's kind of good to start thinking about, well, why do you have sex, and why do the people you sleep with have why do they want to have sex? Whilst you might think it's obvious, it's sometimes really not. Sometimes people don't even think about why they want to have sex. And I think that's quite fair because people think it's just something you do. It's something that's in a relationship, right? You do this because we're together. Break it down. And I mean, that's just, there's so much nuance underneath that of why we're actually having sex. So if it's something that we're just supposed to do, that kind of throws out that love and commitment and emotional part for people who might fall into that category. But if it's something we're supposed to also do, it also might not help for those people who are incredibly pleasure seeking or want that physical release, right? If it's just something we do, I don't know, that kind of makes it goal oriented, or there's an obligation there, or there's a sense of duty. And it's kind of pleasure gets thrown out the window when we start thinking like that. So it's really helpful to start thinking about why we're actually having sex and if we're aligned. The other thing to think about too is like there's no right or wrongs. Like if you want sex because maybe a reason why you have sex is because it's important to you. Like you do it on birthdays, anniversaries, I don't know, Valentine's Day, holidays. When you're on holiday, there's nothing wrong with that. Like there really isn't. But if your partner doesn't know that, and if you don't know that, and you're expecting sex back to expectations, like if you're expecting sex to occur on those incidences and it doesn't happen, that's going to be gutting, right? The reason why you want sex, it's not happening, and your partner's not on the same page with you, well, then you're going to probably feel unloved, undesirable. My partner doesn't, maybe I don't feel seen or heard. They don't take my birthday seriously. And so the cascade and the dominoes then go the negative way because we're actually maybe not realizing why we want to have sex. That example. So, what I think it's nice to think about is there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong reasons to why we're having sex. And maybe some of the reasons that we're having sex are unhelpful. Like, I think in the study it talked about, I want to prevent my partner from having an affair, or I want to mate guard. I don't want them, I don't know, looking at other people. So therefore, I feel obligated to have sex with. If our relationship to sex is I've got to do this in order to stay safe in a relationship or to keep somebody, then that kind of goes, if I wanted to look at attachment theory, like that would kind of go with an anxious attachment style, is I need to go have sex with somebody in order to keep them. And if we're not having sex, then there is potentially a fear that the relationship won't last or they're going to leave me. And so, I mean, this might be really unhelpful ways to look at reasons why you want to have sex, because ultimately, again, it's not recognizing pleasure. Maybe it's not recognizing your autonomy, or even like how you look at consent, right? If you feel obligated to do something, or you're grasping onto somebody so tightly that I'm not quite sure maybe how good that sex could be, or maybe it is amazing. One of the biggest examples is makeup sex. Some people will never have makeup sex because it takes them a long time to recover from an argument. And the reason why they have sex might be because of that love and commitment. And after a fight, they're still trying to put the positives back into the relationship, waiting for their partner to do the same and probably cooling off. So jumping into bed and having sex is probably not going to be high on their agenda. Alternatively, some people love makeup sex. They can have a fight, argue, yell, scream at each other, say really nasty things, and jump into bed and feel completely better. And again, there's no right way or wrong way to doing it or why we have sex or the sex that we're having. But what is important to know is that if you're somebody who likes makeup sex and can fight easily and wants that, and that drives you to have sex right after, and you're with somebody who needs to cool down, there's going to be a discrepancy, right? You're probably not going to be having sex and you're going to wonder what the problem is. This is probably going to also feed into your overall sex life. Like, why are we not doing it? And so this is why it's really kind of good to start thinking about the why. Why is it not happening? Why is it happening? And if we're so different and sex isn't happening, how we actually come together might need adjusting. Or sometimes what I need to have sex, maybe I need to adjust. Or maybe different phases of my life, I've had different whys. Like, I don't know, maybe when I was younger and more insecure, it was about validation. And as I got older, I didn't need that validation anymore. And I want those experiences and that pleasure and that novelty, and I want fun. Nothing actually stays the same. And I think people often lose sight of that, as they think sex is a linear journey where I wanted sex and it's just to feel good and just to get off. And that's how it's always going to be. And sometimes a partner or a sexual partner is going to really challenge that. And it's not going to work the way you think you do. And then when that happens, people often then internalize and going, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? So it's pretty helpful to think about the why. The why do you want to have sex? So I encourage you to do some homework. Feel free to have a look at this study. I'm sure you can get it on Google Scholar. If you would like me to send it to you, that is not a problem. Please email me at contact@lauramuratori.com and I'll shoot that through to you and you can score and read the article. It's quite a hefty paper, but it's fascinating. And I've really haven't done it enough really justice today. But we can get so nitty-gritty in the whys, and I really want people to just walk away thinking about, why do we want to have sex? What will help you both have sex? And is your whys aligning? Or maybe they're so contrasting that it also helps you. Maybe it also throws the brakes on. I'm not quite sure. But it's a interesting conversation to open up. So with that, I hope you are having a thriving sex life because you deserve it. And I will see you next time on Sex Lives Unfiltered.